Let's welcome our host, Erica Wilson.
Great day, everyone. We're here live today with the girl, Erica Wilson, that it had to happen for tonight's topic on this Wednesday, guys. Wait, we're on Wednesday or Wednesday. Come on now. My 5th prison trip, the journey of redemption. My God. They say the best teachers are the ones who have actually walked the path, right? So our guest today didn't just walk a difficult path. He lived it, lost himself in it, and eventually fought his way out of it. After 5 prison terms and 4 stays in county jail, he, Mr. Kardell Sims, transitioned from a man the system wanted to keep to a man the world needs to hear. Please welcome a mentor who is turning his history into a roadmap for others. So let me present to some and introduce to others the Kardell Eugene Sims. Welcome.
Yeah. I appreciate it, man. I love the introduction. Got me over here hyped up. I'm ready to go.
All right, let's go. Well, thank you so much for accepting the invitation to be here on tonight on It Had to Happen TV, where it is our journeys, our pain, and our purpose. That it had to happen. It happened to us, but it was happening for us. So if you can, tell us a little bit about who is Mr. Kardell Sims.
Oh man, Kardell Sims. I'm a leader in this reentry space. I've been through it. My term is I went from being recidivism to beating recidivism. And what I do now is I travel around the country, going in and out of prisons, setting up programs, workshops, introducing other people that I feel have impactful material, impactful programs inside institutions to prepare guys for their release. I'm the founder of On the Inside Reentry Academy, where our motto is that reentry starts on the inside of prison itself.
Wow, that is awesome. But as I read in your story, I was hearing all about your 5th time prison trip. But little do they know you are a how many time author? How many books?
13 times. Yeah, 13 times. That was my thing coming out of prison. To be an author. I actually wrote my first 3 books while I was incarcerated because a guy came in and told me how Amazon worked. And I was like, what? You mean to tell me I can write a book and it's going to cost me $3 to print and I could turn around and sell it for $20, $25? That sounds like legal drug dealing to me.
Hold on, rewind, because I'm an author and I only wrote 1. I didn't know it was just that. Come on now. You said it cost $3 to print and then you could.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said when he told me.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, what? He was like, yeah, all you got to do is just write it, create your cover, then you upload it to the publishing, KDP Publishing. And depending on how, if you got like 100, 150 pages, it's going to cost you between $2 or $3 for the total print. So you just order the print and then you sell them on your website for $20, $25. So I did the math, and one of the things that kept me running in and out of prison was financial. So I was selling drugs and stuff like that. So I figured, like, if I can do that legitly, then it'd be another thing that can keep me from having to go back to the street selling drugs because I would have other finances coming in.
Wow. I'm speechless here knowing that, because here it is, you use these publishing companies and things like that, and they kind of like take all your rights, most of your rights, and take, most of the money that you get for the, the books or whatever. But man, yeah, I have to talk to you after this show because I need the plug. I'm telling you, I need the plug. But it's such an honor to sit here with you on tonight, just to know that God has given you a whole nother chance. And you didn't sit down on God. You went back into the prison system and you were ministering to people or mentoring them as well, the inmates, because what better way to tell somebody how to get through something if you didn't walk it? You have to walk the walk in order to talk it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell
It's
me,
one of the
how is
things
that?
they say in prison. You hear, I was one of them. Like, man, how you gonna tell me how to do it? And you don't even know what it's like. So
Right.
I kind of got now they can't tell me that, right?
Yeah. I'm telling you, because see, that's another thing. Even in everyday life, that's what we do. We try to tell people things that we like. I've never been married, right? So I can't tell another person what it is to be married. You see?
Right.
And this is what I'm saying. We try to walk in gifts that God didn't give us. And
Mhm.
we have to really walk in the thing that He's given to us.
I like
And
that.
yeah, we do. And I said that to the young man on last night. It's far too often just because you did it, Cardell, that one may think that they could do it too, but that may be not their gift. So if they fail at it, now they feeling all down and out because first of all, it was never your gift to use.
Exactly.
So hearing that you did the fifth trip to prison, one of my questions I have to you is, how do you identify which parts of your life story, right, had real value to others now being though what you do, and what was your first step in turning that experience into a product people would actually pay for?
I think for me, every part of my story was something that someone could relate to. But you got to look at my mother had me; she was 16 years old, so I had a young mother. On top of that, I had a older sister that my mother had at 13. So you looking at in today's society, you see that as well, where you have teenage mothers trying to raise children in an environment where it's not the best. By the time I was a teenager, my mother was addicted to drugs. She was addicted to crack. And so I was involved in the gangs and I played basketball as well. But I had this idea that I was a product of my environment. And so with that mindset, like every opportunity that I may have gotten in life, I lost that opportunity to that mentality. And so once I was in prison and I realized like I wasn't the only person running out of prison from my block, from my neighborhood. Almost everybody I surrounded myself did at least 2 prison trips. And so once I figured it out, once I tapped into myself, once I started figuring things out, I realized that I have a key and I have a gift of leadership that I will be able to come back in and make an impact. And then in the process of just wanting to come back in, making an impact because, hey, man, I finally beat this prison thing. I want to share it with everybody. I started understanding the business that came with it as far as getting paid to speak, how much they're getting paid to run programs, what's the program cost per individuals, leverage my story through books. Like we was talking about the book process, like my first 3 books were just novels, urban novels. But once I got into the lane in doing the work, I started writing more self-help books and things like that, knowledge books that fit what I was doing. And then from there, I was able to scale in many different lanes, just based off the book, whether it was doing training off certain books,
Yeah.
workshops off certain books, and things of that nature.
My God. So we sitting here tonight, y'all, with Mr. Kardell Sims. Listen, 13 books he has written, you guys. You definitely want to go over to Amazon. Is it on Amazon?
Yeah, yeah, they're on Amazon, but I usually send people to my website. I've had to teach you that as well. Because you was talking about royalties, and that was the one of the things that,
Yeah.
in my knowledge and in my studying, what would be better for Amazon to get their royalties when we sending people to Amazon. I know everybody wants to send to Amazon for the reviews and stuff, but I don't look for reviews in a
Yes.
sense. I'm looking for profit if I'm talking about business. The profit. I had business not going to sustain off reviews, but it will sustain off profit, right?
Come on now.
And so I said, well, why would I let Amazon get us 40 to 60% royalty? And I'm selling my books for 20 bucks and they getting $9.89, right? When I can still use the same system that Amazon uses as far as to print the book, but order bulk author copies at $2.15, $3 a piece, and then turn around and price them sell them from my website at 20, $25. So now instead of making $9 of profit per book, I'm making somewhere between 15 to 17,
Okay.
sometimes 20, depending on the price.
Wow. Well, see, I just said Amazon. I don't want to send people over to people's website to purchase it from them directly or contact them directly to get it because I understand, the assignment, right? I understand how it goes, and it's not a good feeling, but however, that's just some avenues that one could go in. And I love what you said is you're not worried about the reviews, you're worried about the profit and not just the profit, you worry about the impact, right? And the way it's going to impact one because what you're doing it speaks volume because some could not even walk a mile in your shoes let alone put a toe in your shoes
Mhm.
5 prison 5 times in the in the incarcerated and 4 times in the county jail in prison 5 prison right and 4 in the
Mhm.
county jail some cannot come back from that and to see that you're business minded and you're putting your best foot forward and you paying it forward to others because at the end of the day just like we spoke about earlier you can't teach anybody anything if you didn't go through anything and you're going back to the areas where you come from. You didn't forget. You said, let me go back and pour into these young men because sometimes the young men fall by the wayside and they don't have anybody that cares. They're just lost in the system. Some there for maybe a reason, and some is there just by you know how it go.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's good what you're doing. So let's talk about these books that you have. How many do you have on you now that you can talk about?
Right now, the two books I have on me right now are my last two books that I've written. Inmate the Inspiration, How I Freed Myself from Self-Destruction. Uh, this book put me in the lane that I actually was in. Because when I came out of prison, like I said, I had the books, but I wanted to just be a life coach. Like when I was in prison, I created a vision board of what I wanted my life to look like. And so
Mm,
life coach was one of the things. And so when I got to the halfway house, I had a regimen. I would catch the bus to go to work at 5 in the morning. I worked at a telemarketer from 7 to 3. Then I would get back to the halfway house on the bus at about 5. Then I would type up the books that I handwritten. I would go use the computer lab to type up the books into a PDF file. And then I would take 2 hours after that to do online life coaching. So when I first came out, my goal was just start my own business, sell these books, be an author, share my story, and be a life coach. And after about 3 years out, when COVID hit, I had a mentor. He said, "Man, you need to write a book about your life." And she writing all these books because it's crazy. And so I wrote this book, It Make the Inspiration, about my life, and it took off. I sold a lot of copies, and from that, it put me in the reentry space because people were starting to hear my story and my journey. Like, you need going to prisons to speak, and it just so happened someone who read that book had a company that got the first ever formerly incarcerated motivational speakers grant by the federal government to go back into federal prisons to speak. And they asked me and chose me to be a speaker. And I had just got off all my prison papers from federal probation papers. I was on state parole at the same time and state probation. So I was on all of them at the same time. As soon as like a month after I got off, it's like God said, "Don't worry, I got you. Watch this." And that speaking thing came through, and from then I knew that's what I was supposed to have been doing.
my God, my God. And how long have you been out?
I've been out so I'm going on my 8th year of being out.
Wow, congratulations. Let me tell you, man of God, listen, people, you do not understand this story here tonight. I need you to hear the share button right now. Hit the share button right now. Share this with someone, some young man or some young woman. Share with everybody that because this story can kind of relate to so many of us, and not just from the prison system, but about not stopping. First of all, he spoke about in the beginning that his mother, he had a teenage mom. So we all know I was a teenage mom as well, but we all know that the odds that's against us and the statistics and whatever they say about us. And then a single mom, you understand?
Hmm.
And not only that, you may have done some things that you weren't so proud of, but it birthed something so beautiful what you're doing now. So we know that all of those it's that was transpiring at that time, it was birthing something up out of you. The Bible tells us that it all works for our good, right? The thing that looks so bad, the it's that transpire in our lives, we know that, man, some of them could be, real hard hitting. But if we only know the God that we serve, it all is working for our good. And you're doing such a phenomenal job at everything that you're doing. So what I want you to do is tell the audience how they could get your book.
So you can get my book, all my books that I have, you can get them on my website at www.kardellsims.com. I got Inmate the Inspiration. I have a book called On the Inside, which is this book right here. And what this book covers is how did I go from walking out of prison to building the reentry empire that I have today. We're On the Inside Reentry Academy and the Elevate 360. It gives you business strategy, but it all correlates with my story as well. And it's just based on my motto, On the Inside. Like I said, you can get all my books at KardellSims.com.
And what is the other book that you have there with you?
On the Inside. So I have two books right here. Inmate the Inspiration. And then I have On the Inside. So they kind of like two different journeys. So Inmate the Inspiration, I wrote this right before I started speaking in prisons, because I did some amazing work once I got out of prison, before I even started speaking in prison in the life coaching. And then I sold a lot of books from the books that I wrote. So that's what this book was about. Inmate the Inspiration was about my story and how I got to the point to where I was at in selling books. And there's 4 keys that I give in that book: hustle, attitude, vision, and education.
Don't tell it, let them go and get that book done.
Yeah. and so then the other one is this one I just released, On the Inside. I released that almost a year ago, and it talks about everything that I had to do, sacrifices, keys, business strategies, on how I went from within 5 years to building a reentry empire, where I operate inside of 18 prisons currently right now, running programs. I put on a national, I got a group of formerly incarcerated educators and success people. I took us on a tour around the country. We did 27 prisons, 34 workshops. We created the documentary. We shot a documentary about the whole thing that we'll be releasing. And so this is kind of like giving the blueprint for everyone who's walking out of prison that wants to do what I want to do, or anybody who hit rock bottom and want to transform their life. But and they're telling them like it starts on the inside. So it's basically keys that you can use for personal development from my story and how I grew what I grew.
My God, thank you, Mr. Sims. Thank you so much. You can get his books at www.Kardell, Kardell Sims, Sims.com. It's here on the screen. I need you guys to help me, because he asked me to sponsor. How many books was it you asked me to sponsor?
10 books.
10 books. So I need y'all help. On tonight, I need y'all help to help me sponsor these 10 books, because Mr. Kardell is doing some great things in the prison systems. I'm going to show you guys soon. He kind of jumped ahead, but I'm glad that he did, because it's just flowing right on in. But definitely go over to his website and support. Please support. And when you go over, please do let Mr. Kardell know that you are IH2H fam, okay? And let him know that. But my second question to you before we jump into that video, because man, this video, it blew me away when I saw it, to see that all the things that you guys are doing. So congratulations to you and everyone that's on your team. God bless you all. That takes a lot to, go back into the place where you once were, hadn't, you know what I mean? So, my God. So what mistakes do you see that people make, right, when trying to monetize their story, and how they shift from telling everything to creating focused and impactful content? How do you see, what do you see in that?
I think the biggest mistake is people don't really know how to leverage their story. They think that I'm just because I share my story, I should get paid and monetize off of it, but they're not teaching nothing. Like, you can share your story but you're not teaching nothing. And for me, motivation, inspiration, and education would what make the transformation. And education is the big part. That's what people will pay for, the education. How did you walk out of prison, write 13 books, start a tech company, have a reentry academy. How did you do that? You know, and so that's where people fail to monetize at when it comes to the nature, because they think it's just you sharing your story, and then they get caught up on trying to be a speaker and not realizing that it's not really being a speaker. My mentor told me, like, when you go to speak, what are you speaking for? And then everybody would tell you, oh man, I'm speaking to make an impact. I'm speaking to reach people. I'm speaking to share my story. But in actuality, you should be speaking to trying to get a contract with whoever you're speaking at. So when I go to prisons, yeah, I'm going in there and speak, but I also understand, like, this speaking is going to hold them over for a day or two. After that, they going to get that motivation, inspiration is going to fall off, because they got to get back in motion of what's going on in prison. But if I got a program that every time I walk in there, and my program's 2 or 3 days a week, that's going to give them the same feeling, but at the same time, they're going to be actually learning hands-on, then that's a different result. And that's the results is the data. The data is what's going to get you them.
And they don't feel forgotten. You know, like you just came in at this one particular time and just said X, Y, and Z to us, and then you don't show anymore. You know, and that's awesome. I'm telling you, man. So I'm going to show you exactly what Mr. Kardell Sims is doing in the community, in the inmate community. Guys, I'm telling you, this is amazing. It blew my mind when I watched it. So let's go.
Right now we're at Fairfield County, right outside of Columbus, man, on the Empowerment Workshop Tour. Myself, Kardell Sims, Brandon Lasson, man, all formerly incarcerated individuals going in, knock this workshop out. Entrepreneurship, resume building, vision boarding, and a whole lot of resources for the men that's incarcerated. You know, this is something that's never really been done.
My God. Wow. 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 It's all I can say. Wow. You know, again, congratulations and thank you for doing, you know, what it is that you're doing, because so many people is falling by the wayside. And I'm getting a little choked up, because as I'm seeing the young men that's behind those bars, I have 2 young men, but thanks be unto God, they never, you know, experienced any of that. And I pray they don't ever have to. But I just look at all men and women that's behind those bars, and thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, man,
and you're showing people that you can be a productive citizen. You understand? You showing them that it can be done. You giving so many people hope, not just inmates, even one like you said that's having that may have lost it all and starting over. You giving them help. So it's not, again, stop operating outside of your gift, people of God. Operate in a gift that God has truly given you, like Mr. Kardell is doing. So after watching that video, I have to say, you know, I heard about them talking about the programs, but what system did you put in place that reduced your daily workload while increasing your impact, right? And how did you know those systems was working? Well, I just heard it. You know, I heard it for myself from the young man. But how did you know that?
I think the biggest system that I put in place was being in front of the game when it came to the Zooms and the teams and stuff like that before COVID hit. Because when I got out of prison, I joined the business group, and I had to give them a shout out called the Morning Meetup with Dave and Shans. In there, I learned how they had speakers training, they had business training, and it was taught by people who look like me and I can understand. And so we was doing these meetings on Zoom way before COVID hit and everybody transitioned. So when I built my reentry academy, because I was meeting with the wardens, I was meeting with commissioners, I was meeting with program directors via Teams or WebEx, I was just like, well, just set a TV up in the classroom so I don't have to be there physically in person. You set a TV up in the classroom, then I could teach through whatever communication system that you use. And I was one of the first in reentry to do the virtual program in that way. And that helped me expand and get contracts throughout the all 50 states, right? And so I didn't have to focus on me going in physically in Missouri, because I was already running the physical program in Missouri. So that cut out now, and that gave me access to all 50 states to make an impact. And then from there, I learned that a lot of correction systems was using learning management platforms. So I just started creating digital and management system courses so they can put on the tablets, they can put in the computer lab, and so now they have a course that they can do at their own pace, and it's still me in the video, still me sharing my life, still me educating stuff, but I ain't there. And so now, once I mastered them two things, that's kind of what increased my impact and then also increase my revenue streams.
Wow. Mm. All 50 states, right?
Yeah.
We know that when COVID shut down the way of the world, everything went virtual. Everything worked virtual. And it was nobody, I believe, but God that put that in place for you. And I
Oh,
can't say enough, and you're gonna keep hearing me say, because when you operate in your gift and you align with the things of God, everything falls in place.
right.
Everything in His timing. In His timing. 8
Definitely.
years you're out. We're gonna jump into a little bit of your journey about what landed you there in prison.
Okay.
For the ones that's maybe trying to understand my fifth prison trip journey of redemption, because here it is. He started out his story. You guys have to go back and watch if you missed the beginning, you have to go back and rewatch it, okay? Because I'm telling you, this story is simply amazing. I'm telling you. So what landed you there 5 times?
Yeah. So I got involved in gangs, like I said, a teenager. My mother, like I told in earlier, my mother had me, she was 16. I have an older sister that she had at 13. So she was trying to figure out life as a young teenager with two children, and we stayed in the project. So by the time I was a teenager myself, I was already involved with gangs and things like that. And mother had got addicted to crack. Through the grace of God, she's going on 30 something years clean, but that rough patch right then and there was kind of the start of it all, because I grew this mindset that I was a product of my environment and I just needed to be around the gang. I needed to be in the hood. So no matter what circumstances or opportunities I got, because I played basketball as well. I was a great basketball. I played college basketball as well, but I was living a double life. So when I wasn't playing basketball or doing the school stuff, after that, I was in the streets selling drugs and gang banging. And I really came to a point in the fork in the road where I chose that over everything. And so I got my first drug case. Well, 15 years old is when I got introduced to the justice system. I caught attempted murder charge and a first degree assault case as a juvenile. Me and my friend, we almost killed someone at the state fair. From there, because I can play basketball, I had coaches come speak on my behalf, explain to the judges my living situation. My father wasn't nowhere around. My mother was on drugs, and they seen potential in me. And the judge put me on probation with stipulation that I had to graduate high school and get put in a foster home. Well, they put me in one foster home. It just wasn't going to work. It just didn't happen. They put me right back in the same neighborhood. I was just running away from the foster home and everything. And so my coach recognized it. And so he found someone else to take me in there as a foster child. And so they took me in. But my only thing was I just wanted to graduate, because I knew once I graduate, I could move back into the neighborhood with my mom. And so as soon as I graduated, I left that foster home, moved back in the neighborhood with my mom, and I was doing my street thing. And then within college, I went, after my first year in college, I ended up catching an assault case. My coaches recommended that I would go. They would send me from Missouri to Georgia to play college ball. But when I got down there, I just took the same mentality and mindset. I belonged in the hood and a product of my environment. And I just connected with street people in Georgia, and I just was living a double life. I was in the streets and in college at the same time. And so once my last basketball game in college, I dropped full-fledged out and was all the way in the streets, trafficking drugs from Georgia to Missouri. I caught my first drug case. I sat in the county jail for 6 months, and I got probation because of my college education. But I knew how probation worked in Missouri, so my mindset was I was going to go through these stages of probation that Missouri had to offer. And which means if I violate 3 times, they would send me to prison on the 120 behavior treatment. And so my first prison trip was 120 days. I got out, went right back to the same neighborhood, same block. Within 3 months, I caught another drug and gun case. I was arrogant. I went to trial. I lost, and I got sentenced to 19 years in Missouri Department of Corrections. And then they sent me to this prison. I was 4 years old with a 19-year sentence. When you walk in there, they got a sign written in red letters on the wall that says, "Leave all your hopes and dreams behind." And so
What?
at 24, yeah, there's a sign. The prison they sent me to when I lost in trial was called Missouri State Penitentiary. It was the oldest. It's shut down now, but at the time it was the oldest prison west of the Mississippi River. Um, you can like if you watch ghost hunting stories and stuff like that on YouTube, they always in this prison. But when you go in receiving in this prison, as you get in your uniforms, your coats, and everything you're supposed to be getting, and you going through, they processing you in. There's a sign in red letters written on the wall that says, "Leave all your hopes and dreams behind." And so this is a supermax prison. The nickname of it is the bloodiest 47 acres because it's set on 47 acres. So that's what I did at 24 years old, was leave all the dreams and hopes behind. And I was in that prison for 2 years, for a year and a half before it shut down. And they sent us to a newer model prison. And the thing was with that was they didn't have no patrol because they wasn't ready for supermax. And so when we got there, it was a lot of fighting, a lot of stabbing. So we was locked down for a lot of time. And Senate bill passed, and it cut one of the sentences I lost in trial with time in half. So I was up for immediate parole. But this is like my 5th year in. I wasn't doing that with my time though. I was just what we call jail. So I wasn't trying to prepare myself, better myself, or nothing like that. And so when I went to parole hearing, I had the fastest parole hearing in Missouri history. They walked me in the room. The guard went to the restroom. I went in the room. They told me, they said, "Mr. Sims, you are part of the problem. You got some more years with us. And what did you think about institutional behavior treatment?" Because they was looking at my behavior record in prison. I told them I'd take the treatment because I knew the quicker I get the treatment, the quicker I get released. And so I left. That was my whole parole hearing. The guard came out the bathroom. He's like, "Yeah, man, go on in." I said, "All right, been in there." He's like, "Man, I ain't never seen nobody come in and out that fast. You got the record." And but to me, my mentality wasn't us. We didn't need to talk about nothing. You said I had some more years with y'all. But once I heard that, I didn't really want to talk about nothing else. Okay, this is my parole hearing. And that's what y'all started off with. So they gave me an out date, which was 5 years away. But I got called to treatment early. So I ended up getting released 2 years early. Same neighborhood, same block, same gang. Within 1 year, I caught another drug case. My mama, brother, son set me up. And I go back to prison.
Wait.
Yeah, my cousin. Yeah, my cousin. Well, I always say my mama's brother's son. Right. So I go back to prison, and with a violation, with a new case, I do a year and a half. I beat that case on technicality. He wasn't showing up for court. I get out, and this time when I get out in the middle of a gang war. So people got shot, somebody got killed. I end up getting violated for association, hanging around convicted felons. Like I said earlier, like everybody on my block was going in and out of prison. Like I wasn't the only one that been to prison more than once. And so I get violated. I go back to prison. While in prison, because of the shooting, a federal investigation started. So when I got out of prison that time, I got out under federal investigation, but didn't even know it. So after about a year or so out, the federal government ended up picking up me and 37 other people. And this was my 5th prison trip. They take me to the Western District of Missouri, a courthouse. They put us all in the courtroom and hand us this indictment paper. As I'm standing in the courtroom, I'm looking around. I see people. I see my whole neighborhood, uncles, cousins, people I done called cases with before, everything. And they hand me this indictment paper. On the indictment paper, it had all our names, nicknames, birthdays, all the charges that we had, conspiracy, gang activity, aiding and abetting, distribution, all the time, 10 to life, 5 to 40, 0 to 20. But none of that stuck out to me. The heading of the indictment paper was stuck out to me. And the heading said the United States of America versus Kardell Sims. And right then and there, just seeing that, I asked myself, like, man, why I keep finding myself in these situations? Only answer I came up with was I keep putting myself in that situation. And so right then and there, I made a silent oath to myself that if I ever get the opportunity to walk out of prison, I would be better than I was standing there that day. And that's when everything started. That's when the transformation started. They sent me to a small county jail, the federal holdover in this small area, no outside, no nothing. And all I could do was just read books. And I grabbed the first book was called How to Hustle to Win, and it gave me a concept of entrepreneurship. But the person who wrote the book also had other books like Knowledge Itself, Science Itself. Started reading them books, then started getting more into the Bible, started getting more into spirituality. Now I read Knowledge, Seed of the Soul, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, How to Set Smart. I just reading and reading. And the guard was used to get nasty with me because I said, I have my family order books and send them in. You're like, I don't know why you order all them books, because when you get sent to federal prison, you can't take them books with you. So I was just taking notes of everything that I took notes or ripped the pages out. I bought the book, ripped the pages out, and I put them in the folder. And then I got sentenced to 57 months on top of the 32 months. I did that for 32 months straight, read, personal development, everything. And then I got sentenced to 57 months on top of them 32 months. And they sent me to the United States Penitentiary in Leavenworth, Kansas. And when I got there, I just continued my same regimen, but the prison had programs. So I just started taking programs because I needed some type of skill or trade or something for I can utilize when I walked out. And so I took janitorial first. After janitorial, I got a certificate in that. Then I took hotel, hospitality, and lodging, which was a year course. Once I got done with that, I got certified as a concierge, and I got a concierge pin to work inside a hotel. Then I took ServSafe, which was food preparation, graduated that, got certified in food preparation because they told me if I get that certificate, I could walk in any restaurant and be a manager or assistant manager. And then I took this class called Conscience and Success. I thought the class, honestly, was going to teach me how to make money because at the time I equated success with money. But the class taught me about affirmations and vision boards. And so I just applied them two things to my daily regimen. So I took all my pictures off my wall and started creating a vision board of what I wanted my life to look like after prison. What did I want to do? I knew I wanted to be a life coach. I knew I wanted to be an author. I knew I wanted to run my own business. I had some quotes on there. I had some Bible scriptures on there. And I would wake up every day and look at that. And everything that I didn't know about, I would get up and study. And the only affirmation I said was, I am greater than the situation that I'm in. And that situation was being prison. And so, I did that until I was released. And when I was released, I just put everything in motion.
Oh, Jesus. So that brings me to my question. Wow. Woo. So you've been through the system multiple times, right? What was different about that fifth trip, though, that finally broke the cycle and you said, I'm going to turn my life toward mentoring others? That fifth time, that last time, what broke the mold?
I only have two fears about prison, and it all correlate to the same thing. And it was dying in prison, but it wasn't about getting stabbed and nothing like that. I didn't want to grow old and die in prison because I've done enough prison times. I've been around people that I've seen what happens when you get old in prison, right? It's not just prison's not where you want to be, especially when you're up in age with health conditions. And I also didn't want to be in prison. I was afraid that I might be in prison and it was a natural disaster, or I do not want to be in prison when Judgment Day comes. That would be the worst place to be, right? And so that was my fear, and I knew I only had one opportunity. So when I took accountability and said that I keep putting myself in the situation, I knew that I had to take it upon myself to at least make the first step into not being changing who I was as a person, everything about me, from how I think, from how I talk, how I carry myself, just everything. And then what made me want to come back in the prison was two things. I felt like I finally figured out and I had the key to stay out of prison, and I wanted to come back in and give it to the guys like, man, this is how you stay out of prison. But while I was in prison, I used to see guys come back and they used to say, man, it's hard to not walk down your federal probation, man, your PO. They pull up on you in the gas station. They follow you on the highway, have you pulled over, and all type of stuff. And I used to tell guys, like, when I get out, I'm going to do it. Then I'm going to come back in and show you how to do it.
Yes, God. Woo. So now we're going to talk about the credibility factor, because we know there's some inmates, maybe majority of them, they can usually spot a faker, right? So when you walking back into their lives, they know they could spot a faker a mile away, because they have been inside that prison system and they've seen so much, right? So how does your history of 5 prison terms and 4 jail stays give you an edge in connecting with men who might not listen to a traditional counselor?
Because I've been there, and like they can't tell me you don't know what it's like. What do you mean I don't know what it's like? I've been to prison 5 times, a county jail, extra 4 more trips, and every time I go to prison, you got to go to county jail to go to prison. So in all actuality, I've been to county jail 9 times, and when you count that, right? And so it's just that like I've been through it, so you can't tell me. I don't know because I didn't know the first time. I didn't get a second chance. I got a second chance, a third chance, a fourth chance, a fifth chance, right? And then I know what you're in here doing. You can like I know what jailing is. Like if you ain't programming, then you doing something else, right? And so for them, from my credibility is like I've been through every phase. Like when somebody say, "Man, I got to get out, man. I don't want to work no job, and I got to pay child support, man." When I got out of prison, I owe $700 a month in child support. I made $11 an hour, worked 40 hours a week. That's $440 before taxes. After taxes, that's about $320. Then they gonna take half of that. That's now I'm down to about $160. Then I owe $30 a month to be on state parole, another $30 a month to be on state probation, and I had federal fees. When all that was taken out of my check, I was operating off $50 to $70 a week. I knew that before I got out of prison. That's why I had a budget plan when I got released from prison. I knew I owed the child support. I had to figure out a budget plan and figure out what I need to do to make enough money that's going to keep me from a thought in my mind to go back to the streets. And that's where the books and stuff came into play. So when I tell them that, they're like, "Y'all, Mr. Sims, I don't come here doing no faking. I'm coming here to give you my story, share everything personal that I went through on my journey, because I know that they most likely to have to go through it too." And so when I share that and I give them the solutions that they can apply and the mentorship, and that I just don't cut off on them when they graduate my class, they don't hear from me no more. I don't stay connected with them because I'm the ones that built the first ones to build the pipeline system. When you get in my class, you got me all the way to you get released and you get tired of me.
Safe place.
Yeah.
They have a safe space to go to. Man, that is so awesome. Let me tell you. But you said something about programming and doing something. What is that?
Okay, so like in prison, like like everybody in prison ain't trying to get better. They're just gonna be real. Everybody don't. You got people that's in prison that they jail them, what we call jailing. They doing their time. They can mean they gambling, they extortion, they gang banging. They can be selling drugs, using drugs, whatever they were doing on the streets, they're gonna do in prison, right? They ain't trying to better themselves. They might even tell you, I got a few more bids left in me. Someone gonna tell you that. So then you got another percent of the population that's programming, and what that means is they doing education courses. Some of them might be in GED courses, but they might be doing NAAA or any program that come into prison. They signed up on. So they taking all the programs they can, they getting all the certificates that they can, because that keeps them out of the way, and they actually preparing for their release. And that was the biggest thing for me from the first 4 prison trips to the last prison trip. Was the first 4 times I didn't prepare for myself for nothing. I knew when I got out, I was going right back to the block. The 5th time, I actually started preparing for my release. And the only time I prepared for my release, I haven't been back. I had a handcuff put on me ever since.
Praise God. So do you have any children?
Yes, I have 5 children.
Okay, how old?
So my youngest, he about to turn 18. And then I got my oldest 2, they turned to 28. And I got one that's 24. And then I got one that's 25, and I got one that's 23. So yeah. But then you look at that. So all the time I never would have, like, this is the first time I really get to experience actually being a parent. But now I'm a grandparent, right? So I get to see things. Yeah. So I get to see things in and do things with the grandchildren that I didn't have the opportunity to do with my children. And so like my wife, she like my granddaughters, like my wife knows like I'm like you can't say nothing to them and they like that. But but you don't understand because I never got to be this type. I never was this type of parent for my daughters to be able to see and be like emotionally tired where you can't say nothing to them because I was spending most of my time in the streets. And when I was in the street, my parenting skills was I stopped by and just drop off some money, right? I mean, just to be honest with you. So I had to learn these things now coming out of prison.
Oh, and you have all daughters?
No. Oh, no.
Whoa.
No. Oh, but my daughters are. I don't really have problems out of them. Like it's my sons that, yeah, they. I think I think my daughters handled it well.
Yes.
With me going to prison, you know what I'm saying. But in my sons, you can see where they missed the father as a teenager to teach him with coping manners, coping skills, and things of that nature. So like my oldest son, so I found out my father was in prison. I went to prison, and my oldest son is in prison now. So I played all. I done played all phases from incarcerated child. I mean, a parent of, you know what I'm saying, child of an incarcerated parent, to being incarcerated, to now a parent of an incarcerated child. So my job now is to make sure this generational cycle ends right here. Lucky is just my oldest son and not the younger ones, but we have to end this now.
Wow. So your son that's incarcerated, do you get a chance to go and sit with him and mentor him?
Yeah, he don't want me on this prison yard. He don't want me on this prison yard because he's at a phase where he just ain't doing right. He just don't want to do right. So and I think it kind of irks him to people come up to him and say, "Man, Kardell Sims on the tablet, that's your daddy," right? Because and so they kind of looking like, what are you doing? You got someone, because a lot of people don't have someone who's been through it that tells them like this ain't what you, and then you still go against it. So a lot of them look like, yeah, you got to you got to be on crash out mode in the sense if you're not listening to your pops and he's been to prison 5 times, like so like he like he know what he don't want me coming on his yard like he like pops don't come here, but he don't know I'm like in Missouri I got access, I got a badge, I can show up on any prison that I want, so I can show up on it at any time.
You can pull up.
Yeah.
You can pull up. Well, congratulations on being a grandfather, because I'm telling you, that's one of the best feelings in the whole world.
Yeah, most definitely.
Oh my God. I tell people you can't even explain that feeling. So we're going to do some rapid fire questions here.
Okay.
But before we jump into the rapid fire questions, this is what I want you to do. When you walk back into those facilities now as a mentor, what is the one thing you want to say to the younger version of Kardell sitting in the audience?
Don't let the limitations of your background reduce the height of your potential. That's the main thing. I feel like that's what I did. I let the limitation of my background reduce the height of my potential. And that's why I'll always show the street. So I tell guys that all the time, and that's the biggest thing I would tell myself is, man, don't let the limitations of your background reduce the height of your potential to outgrow what you were born into.
My God. So if you had someone that was sitting under the sound of your voice and may need, some words of encouragement, they may have someone that's incarcerated, or they may have just, returned back to society. What words of encouragement could you give them?
Have faith. Have faith. And when I say faith, this is exactly what I mean. There's a difference between belief and faith, right? I was taught three phases: belief, faith, and fruition. Belief is sometimes what we think perhaps the truth. Faith is what we know to be the truth. Fruition is us walking in that truth. And the faith part is you have to know that when you not know, this is what you have to do. When you pray, when you ask God for something, you have to let it go from that point on. You can't worry about it. You can't try to control it, because what happens is when you do that, you unconsciously or subconsciously are telling God that you don't trust him to handle that. And that's not real faith. Real faith is for you to give it to him and let him do his thing.
That's good. So looking back at the 5 prison trips, what was the biggest thing missing from your life at the time that kept leading you back to the cell?
Mm.
That missing piece.
Education.
Mm.
Education. Because my mind frame was stuck in a 8-block radius of a city and what was going on in there. So I wasn't able to see outside of that radius. With technology comes education. With technology, you get to find out more about what's going on in the world. You get to see people posting these things that you never knew about and stuff. So now your mind can open up and you say, you know what, I'm bigger than this 8-block radius that I've been trapped in for 20-something years.
That's good. And even though that you had like the coaches around you that care, and I want to bring you back for a second time because this hour go by so fast. We already at 6:54, and I like to be respectful of people's time. But I want to bring you back on that because I have a nonprofit for mothers of athletes, not just mothers of athletes, but families of athletes, right? And hearing when you said that you had coaches to care. That right there means a whole lot. So I want to touch that right now, but I definitely want to bring you back for a part 2. But y'all have to help me on these 10 books, okay? I need you guys to go over right now before I go to the rapid questions to Kardell's website and get his book, Help Me Out, Help a Sister Out. He asked me to sponsor 10 books, and I need your help. www.kardellsims.com. Again, www.kardellsims.com. Trust me, he wrote 13 books, y'all. Y'all have to show some love. Don't go over to Amazon now. Do not go over to Amazon. Go to his website and purchase the books directly from him. Okay. All right. So that last time, you got your release date. Tell us, what was that meal that you had before you hit the streets?
So when I got out of federal prison, like I was so, people don't understand this when I say this, but I was so locked in. I just wanted to get to the halfway house and get started on what I was coming out to do. So my mother and my auntie picked me up from prison and they was giving me a ride to the halfway house. They're like, you want to go to a restaurant and stuff like that? I'm like, no, we can stop at the Popeyes. I went to Popeyes and got me some little the chicken shrimp, the popcorn shrimp, and stuff like that, and was caught up with them on telling them what I want to do and everything like that. Just want to make sure everything was already said. I didn't want to not get to the halfway house on time or none of that. I just let me get there. Let me get settled in. Once I get settled in and get started on everything, then I can start enjoying the restaurants. But I wanted to make sure I just wanted to make sure I got to the halfway house on time because I didn't want no mishap.
Yeah, no, that's right. But listen, I have to shout out moms. I have to shout out moms because hearing your mom pick you up. We spoke about you being a 3-timer, as a father being in prison, you being in prison, and son being in prison. But we have to shout out moms for overcoming that addiction. So you're a 2-timer. So she overcame the addiction and you overcame the prison system. So see, this is what matters. Shouts out to you, mom. Wherever you are, I hope you listening.
She probably watching right now. She's my biggest supporter. She got I always tell her every time. She got a story that is just amazing, right? And so when people say where I get it from, I tell her I get it from my mom because seeing her be able to fight through the things that she fought through, let me know that I had the strength to overcome and fight through everything that I do. And
Amen.
She's the one that was praying for me, and I wasn't praying for myself, right? She was one dropping me in those prayer circles in church, and and things like that. So, without her seeing her strength, knowing her strength, and her guidance, and her prayers,
Jesus. My God, whew, that's touching right there. You need to send her over this way because here at
I was gonna say you should have her as a guest.
Absolutely, I would love to, because here is my journey, my pain, my purpose. And one of the things that we love to do is speak to the people and let them know, yeah, that it happened, but we're going to share our it and how we overcame it, share our stories with you. Because a lot of times, Kardell, people like to sit down on their stories, or they're too embarrassed to tell about their stories,
Mhm.
and not so. So when God gave me the vision of it had to happen and I wrote the book, then I started the podcast, and I'm just like, okay, I see you. And every time I have a guest and they hear the title, they were like, oh man, this it couldn't even be any better,
Right. It could-
And yeah,
That's the
so
thing I said. Like, oh man, it had to happen. Yeah.
I saw in your bio with the questionnaire, you said that in there too. I love that, because see, that's the thing. I don't want to just connect with anybody, Cardell. I want to connect with people that align. We align. You see, where we can tell the people, yeah, this may have happened, but this is how I overcame it.
Exactly.
People want stories like that. You study here about the bad. Every time you turn on the news, that's all you see is bad stuff. But where are the celebrations of what people overcame? You don't see that.
Mhm.
Some, like I said, it's so two rapid questions that I want to ask really quick. And I know it's gonna be a little funny. And you probably say, well, how did she know this? But best cell block meal you ever invented, often called a spread or a swole.
Swole.
All right, break it down for me.
I mean, because yeah, I mean, spread's fine, but I think with the swole is more, it'll fill you up more, right?
Mm,
And then you don't have, you can add more to it, so it's kind of, especially when I was in Leavenworth, we had a guy in our car. He was cold with making them, so we used to have like two or three of them, like at least 2 or 3 times a week. But yeah, I got to go with that.
okay. So two more questions. I'm gonna ask two more and then we out. One book every man should read behind bars.
Um, the way of the superior man.
Mm.
Yeah, the way of the superior man. Yeah.
And who's that by?
Oh, I can't think of his name right now.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll
Yeah.
definitely look it up and I'll pin it. But the thing about it is, I was hoping that you was gonna say your book.
Oh no, yeah, that would be
But that's
good. But
good. That's
I
good.
highly recommend the way of the superior man. Just especially when you come out and you want to like be in relationships, being married, the things of that nature.
Okay.
Like it's a
Let me
it's a
put that
good
here.
it's a great book.
You say The Way of a Superior Man?
Of the superior
Oh,
man.
okay. Let me put that here so I can remember. All right. The Way of a Superior Man is the book that every man should read. That's behind bars. Last question. What was the very first thing? Well, you said that. We already answered that one. Okay. So the most important quality a mentor must have is patience or honesty.
Mm, honesty,
Why
honesty.
so? Why so?
Hon- Honesty holds you accountable, right? You give somebody patience, you give them having patience. Sometimes you'll find yourself giving them enough time to procrastinate and be lazy. I'm working, I'm working on that right now with a guy that I mentor. I'm trying to give him enough leeway and have patience with him, but realize that the patience that I'm giving him is causing him to procrastinate and be lazy because I'm giving him enough room to where I'm not like on I ain't pushing him to a sin. And so without that extra push that he needs, he doesn't get things done, and then he puts himself in a compromising position, especially when it comes to the business. And
Mm,
so I would go honesty because honesty goes a long way. And my mentor, he was real honest with me um, at the beginning, and that helped a lot.
that's good right there. I have to bring you back for a part two. Definitely have to bring,
Oh yeah,
and
I'm
I'm open
I'm
to
welcome.
it.
I'm open to it. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're right here at the closing of our segment. My fifth prison trip, journey of redemption. The Mr. Cardell Eugene Sims. Let me tell you, this story was truly amazing, and we haven't even scratched the surface because I have a couple other questions that I didn't even touch on. But just sitting here and hearing everything that you said, and I'm gonna hold you to getting your mom on here, okay?
Yeah, we gonna get her on here. I'm gonna reach out to her when I get off.
All right.
It's time to break open and be on the podcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I want to leave you guys with this. They say the measure of a man isn't found in how many times he falls, but in how many times he chooses to rise and get back up. Don't stay down, man of God. Kardell, you spent 5 trips inside a system designed to hold you back. But you, Kardell, walked out with something so amazing the system couldn't take, a purpose, right? So today you aren't defined by the bars of your past, but by the lives you are unlocking in your future, Mr. Kardell. You've shown us that no matter how many chapters of your life were written in a cell, you are the one who gets to write the ending. My God. So, to our audience, if Mr. Kardell can find a way back after 9 times down, there is no excuse for any of us to give up on our own journey or on each other. Kardell, thank you. Thank you so much for being the living proof that it's never too late to change the narrative, okay? Keep leading the way for those that you come in contact with. And I pray God's rich blessings all over everything that you do. God bless you, Mr. Kardell. And is there anything that you would like to leave with our audience on today?
Just have faith. Like I said earlier, faith is what I operate on. When I knowing that God is going to do this, all I got to do is just be prepared and be ready to walk in the path in which He opened before me.
That's good right there. So, guys, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please do now and hit the notification button. It will let you guys know every time we go live here at It Had to Happen TV. And if you would like to be a featured guest like the Mr. Kardell Sims, you definitely could go over to my website at www.ericawilsonih2h.com. Again, www.ericawilsonih2h.com. I'd love to have you. Tomorrow's guest is the Miss Shawana McLeod. She will be here with us on tomorrow. And we know with the way of the world like it is going now, so many of us fall up under that spirit of depression. And she's going to tell you all about it on tomorrow. So meet me back here tomorrow at 6 p.m. And I'm also available Tuesdays through Thursdays for you to be my featured guest at 6 p.m. So tell a friend to tell a friend to tell all their friends. If we align, come on over here to It Had to Happen TV. I'd love to have you. God bless each and every one of you. Mr. Kardell, we do not like leaving this broadcast without sending out virtual hugs through the waves and virtual love. We love you guys here at It Had. Oh, I was going to say my heart's not coming. It Had to Happen TV. Mr. Kardell, thanks again. I can't wait. You could use the same link to book to get you back on, and
Okay.
I'm definitely going to try to get those 10 book sponsors one way or the other, but as long as we do some, it's better than not doing anything at all, because you're doing such a phenomenal job, man. I can't even say it no better. So if you guys have missed this broadcast, the beginning part of this broadcast, please do go back and rewatch it. And please help me get the 10 books sponsored with Mr. Kardell, www.kardellsims.com. Again, Mr. Kardell, thank you. Thank you to our audience, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We are forever grateful for you all. I hope I said everyone. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You all rock. We could not do this without you, and you. Until next time, God bless you all. Bye-bye.